Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night is a poem by Dylan Thomas written in the 1950s. Like most stories or poems, they tend to hold their meaning whether or not they've been written 50 years ago, 100 years ago, or just 2 months ago. This poem has always caught my attention from the moment I read it. When I first read it, I was a little confused, but after I repeatedly read it and got to understand it, I became a big fan of it. There are a ton of themes that you can choose with this poem, and such as the actual meaning of the poem was the author's dad losing his eye. So that was cool. But the one that I really thought described the theme of the story is depression. I feel like this poem wasn't intended to be about suicide when it was written, but a few lines that it has seemed to help persuade the way I see it. One of the biggest lines in the poem that offers a metaphor is actually the title. Do not go gentle into that good night. And good night is a very good metaphor for death. I don't think the story would have had the same had the same depth that it has if he would have just used the word death or died. I think good night is a good way to put it because it represents no more suffering and no more pain. Another metaphor I found interesting that also mixes into my personification point is when he talks about their words had forked, no lightning. The lightning represents the way the person spoke and how the words would leave a lasting impression. To me, this could also help with my theme because the author or the person reached out to someone and they didn't listen and they didn't feel that their words had enough value. I feel as if throughout the story that the author is reaching out to the person, trying to say they understand what's happening, but at the same time they're trying to give them motivation to keep fighting, to keep living. I feel as if the author has a personal experience when he says, wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way. That he's gone through it and he's missed out on what life has had to offer. The lightning part can also turn into personification because we all know words aren't actually lightning. Another form of personification is when he talks about the dying light. This is personification because we know light can't really die. And those are the reasons why I really like Don't Go Gentle Into That Good Night.